Hello. Welcome back. And as always, thank you for tuning in here. What I want to talk about today is a very interesting question that goes to the foundations of what this course is and is not. And that is, why aren't more people interested in this? I mean, really, why aren't more people into A Course in Miracles? Now, this is a question that's been asked here on YouTube, so thank you for the question. As always, I'm more than willing to answer a question of yours here in the series of videos. Because as we go through the text of A Course in Miracles, you'll notice that that's well over 600 pages in length, and it'll be there when we get back. So the question here starts with the premise, all right, so I'm into A Course in Miracles, or I wouldn't be here, right? How come more of the people I know are not? How come my family members are not? How come my friends are not? I'm enthusiastic about it. Why aren't they? Great question. In fact, it's fabulous. So to answer that, we go right to the foundation of what this course is. We also go right to the foundation of what this course is not. And then the practical side of the question, what can we do about it, is something we're definitely going to talk about and answer, because there's a clear answer to that. And it's very proactive. So, for starters, if you're new to A Course in Miracles, fantastic, welcome. This is going to be a great introduction for you. And what I hope is going to be one that inspires you to keep going with the interest that you're showing in this material. For whatever reason you're watching today, and you could be a longtime course student, many of you are, this is always a very, very good review. We need these. We need to be reminded, even if we're 20 or 30 years into the practice and study of this material, we all need to be reminded of what it exactly is that we're doing. And it's worth considering this subject of why aren't more people into it? Well, for starters, A Course in Miracles is a self-study curriculum. I mean, that's it. It's a self-study curriculum. It is not a religion. It is not a cult. The world doesn't need any more of those. So we don't want to heap another one on the pile. This course is not at all about winning converts to our way. When you think about it, doing that would be directly opposed to the message that Jesus is conveying here, that there is no separate other way. There is no separate other. There's no division between one way and another. There's no separation of any kind. So, what we do not do here is attempt to win converts and proselytize and win people over to our point of view. That is something they will have to do by themselves because this is a self-study curriculum. That is part of the genius of A Course in Miracles, and it is most definitely what makes it stand out from a number of other spiritual traditions that are out there. And I'm talking about not only the traditional religions, but all of the many other spiritual traditions. There are few of them, indeed, that pronounce themselves as a self-study curriculum that you undertake under the guidance of your inner teacher. They're simply not posited that way. So let's understand one thing very clearly. That does not make them wrong, and it doesn't make them inappropriate for some people. For, in fact, as it turns out, most people. There are many doors in spirituality. This accounts for the sheer number of traditions that are out there. I mean, everything from the traditional, large, huge, major world religions to everything else. There are many doors. All of them lead to the same place. All of them lead to God in the end. How can we say this? Well, only God is. Of course, all these roads lead to the same place. There's no place else. The pause here is deliberate. We're intended to think about that and let it permeate our mind. There is no place else. So, because this course is self study, when people teach a course in miracles, they do so, they appear as a guide. The teacher, we have one teacher. The teacher is the Holy Spirit, Jesus, our inner teacher. Our inner teacher is the one who guides and instructs us. And when someone appears in this form, it's a form that we can relate to. In this case, it happens to take the form of a middle-aged man from Arizona, which is in the United States, in North America. None of that is at all important. What matters is the message that you get, or the messages that you get from your inner teacher. This image on your screen is simply delivering the message of your inner teacher. So the image on your screen is not in charge of you, for which the middle-aged man from Arizona is very happy. There is no hierarchy in A Course in Miracles. It's not a top-down, thou shalt not kind of endeavor at all. Rather, it's a self-study curriculum. So when someone shows up in this form teaching a course, he or she does so as a guide, nothing more than that. So this lack of formalized structure allows us to learn. We learn under the guidance of our inner teacher. We take what we wish to take at a given time. And as I'm fond of saying, we take what we want to take and are willing to take at a given time. So, what are we willing to take? Leads me to the next point. One of the reasons why more people are not into A Course in Miracles is because, well, in the overall scheme of linear time, it's new. The Course was not even dictated to Helen Schucman until the 1960s and 1970s. So these teachings, while they've been around in one form or another for a long time, didn't appear in this particular form until the late 20th century. This timing is absolutely no accident at all. It never is. It never is because the Holy Spirit can't be wrong. What this means in the overall scheme of things is that there are people out there who are ready for this course. So, being that it's newer, there is a significant amount of interest in it. There is also, and predictably, a significant amount of misinformation and sectarian warfare about it. I mean, of course, there's going to be. You've probably seen some Course in Miracles related chat forums on social media where people use the space to attack one another. It's out there. While this social media space can be used to share the Holy Spirit, it can also be used to share the idea of separation and foment unrest and distress and project fear. Of course it can, because I mean, all it takes is even 1 or 2 minute session of scrolling to see both in action. I mean, what does your social media feed look like? Is it 100% positive all the time? That would be great. But people have a forum to spout whatever they wish to spout. It's our choice. Do we extend love or do we continue to promote the false idea of separation and project our own fear and guilt onto our brother? And this is new material. So, being that it's new, not everyone is going to be into it. Also, let's think about the content. The Course always invites us to look past form, to look past outward form and appearance to the content, the essence of what's going on. When you really think about it, who in the world is really willing to question the very foundations of everything they now believe? And I mean everything. As you know, if you've been through the workbook and the introduction to the workbook, this is precisely what Jesus invites us to do. Question the very foundations of everything we now believe. And don't stop until you have. So, who, when you really think about it, is really willing to do that? Who is really willing to do that? Well, you may very well be, and I thank you for that. But what we must understand is not everyone else is. And when we're talking, question the very foundations of everything you now believe, it means just that. Entertaining the central teaching of this course, there is no world. Who's ready to even accept that idea and begin to contemplate it, much less continue to allow it and allow it? Perhaps you are, and I'm glad you are. I hope you are too. Who's ready to question the assertion that we're human beings? Who's ready to question the assertion that we're born and die? I mean, really, who's ready to question the very foundations of everything we now believe? There is no death. The Son of God is free. That's an idea from the workbook. I'm not making that up. None of us is making that up. What we are making up are all of our supposedly individual reasons for not diving headlong into this material and rushing back home, so to speak. It's because we've placed our confidence in the ego. It's because we've identified as an ego that we continue to waver. And if we're continuing to waver, other people are continuing to waver too. And some of them will patently not be interested in this. More still will buy the book, I know plenty of them, and allow it to sit on a shelf, unopened for decades. Am I talking to you? I don't know. You still have that book. You have it. You either bought it or it was given to you, or you came upon it somehow. There's a reason why. And as you pass it day after day, month after month, year after year, do you think about opening it? What's in there? What will I discover about myself? Will I discover what I really know, that I'm more powerful than I've ever imagined, that I'm one with God, that God's will is my will? Hmm, will I discover that? Okay, spoiler alert. People also become very interested in A Course in Miracles simply based on the title alone. Deliberately chosen, of course. A Course in Miracles. What's that? And people start the course and set it aside. They do this for any number of reasons. One of these reasons is that they discover that it's work. Forgiveness takes our present moment awareness. And it also requires what we refer to as responsibility. There's a reason why I say all of the time that spirituality is an adult endeavor, because we're looking at our own drama, our own psychodrama, and forgiving it. But we have to look at it. Perhaps people are not ready to look at it. This course can save you time, lifetimes, if you don't go in for the idea of lifetimes, plural, as in one after another, in what appears to be a linear succession. That absolutely does not matter at all. Simply consider your current lifetime. And have you always been willing to want the peace of God and nothing else? There's the operative phrase, and nothing else. Because as we see, and as we see in a lot of popular spirituality, you do see what you invite. This is how our perception works. We invite something in our mind and we expect it. What we expect, we then see. What's going on in our inner world turns up in our outer world and as our supposedly outer world. It's not outer at all. It's in our mind. The truth of who we are is beyond all of these fabrications. It's beyond all of our concepts. It's beyond the convention, the concept of language, which we're using right now simply to communicate with one another. It's beyond all of our concepts, yet it can be known, in other words, experienced. It's who we are. So the reality here, it is not reality, of course, but it passes for reality here in the dream, is that not everyone is ready for this. There are plenty of people that we all know that will never be ready for this course in this lifetime. So, what do we do about that, knowing that that's true? I mean, I have family members and friends that aren't ready for spirituality in general, much less something that cuts directly to the chase like this. not even ready. And that's all right. It's where they happen to find themselves. It is not our job to drag them kicking and screaming to our point of view. Here's what we do instead: forgive. That would have made a very short video. For as a practical matter, here's what you do: forgive the Son of God. Period. The end. And thanks for joining me. You know, that is what we do. We show up and extend love. And we continue to show up and extend love. Anything that's not wholly joyous is an opportunity for us to forgive. When somebody behaves badly, in all the many forms that that can take, understand, this is our job to understand that it is a call for love. Anything other than an expression of love is a call for love. What do we then do? What's the appropriate response to extend love? So, what do? We show up and we extend love in the way that our inner teacher suggests that we do it. Not everybody's going to do what I'm doing. This is my own particular directive to turn on the camera and microphone and broadcast to a global audience. That's what I'm instructed to do. You may be instructed to do something very different. So that is simply an outward form. The content, extending love to the Son of God, is exactly the same, no matter what form it may take. Remember, this course invites us to look beyond the outward form to the content, to the essence of what's really going on here. So, what we do, we show up more loving, we show up more forgiving, more joyful, happy, patient, calm, and chill. What then happens naturally? People pay attention. They begin to notice. They may even say things to you like, wow, you seem so happy. How are you so calm? And of course, you can respond to that as directed. But whether people take an interest in this course or not in this lifetime is up to them. It's not our concern. Because, as we said, there are many doors, and there are people in this lifetime that will not open a single one of them, that will shun all of them. And you may know many of them. I certainly do. And look what I'm doing. I mean, this spirituality is all that I've really ever cared about or been concerned about in this lifetime. But other people are having what appear to be different experiences, and we must let them. All we can do is control what we think. All we can do is control what we think and do and say. We're in charge of our own experience. So, as we extend love, people will notice. Take this YouTube channel, for example. The recordings that you're watching currently began pretty much exactly 3 years ago as a live stream on the online platform Enlightened World Network, where, in fact, they're still aired. After about 6 months, we decided that the impact would be far greater if we were to abandon the live stream format and simply pre-record them and post them on YouTube. So they've been going on for 3 years now. There are over 800 subscribers. Oh, and by the way, shameless but necessary prompt. That's the subscription button. So please click that and join us. My point here is that people will notice what you do. Now, the number over 800 doesn't make any difference at all. There, of course, are YouTube channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So there's a reason why there are over 800, and there's also a reason why there aren't 50,000 or 100,000. It's because when you simply come out and say, there is no world, there is no world. You're not a body. This isn't you. And we know that, but is everyone else ready to listen to that? Not everyone's ready for that message. Some of you are, but if everyone were ready for that message right now, this channel would be absolutely huge. So while I invite subscriptions, the goal isn't to take over the world because, well, what world, right? Ultimately, it all goes back to something that we learn early on in life is that we're in charge of what we say and think and do. We could choose not to be, but that's still making the choice with the power of decision that's given to us that can never be taken away. We simply show up and extend love to the Son of God. That's what we do as a practical matter. What other people will do with that is up to them. Is it likely that they'll respond back with love? Yes, of course it is. They're recognizing themselves, just as we're recognizing ourselves. Now, will they respond by withdrawing and calling you a woo-woo nutcase? Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's happened to me. Of course. And when you really practice this course, there will be people that shrink from the light. We've all shrunk from the light, or we wouldn't be here having this conversation. But there will be people that will recoil in horror and run away. Some of them may choose to attack you. Keep forgiving, keep shining the light, keep sharing the Holy Spirit with your brother. They will notice and they will pay attention. What they do with that, yeah, that's up to them. But love always recognizes itself. And of course it does, because it's all there is. All right. So I hope that as a practical matter, this conversation has helped you. I mean, this course is all about practical application. Understanding these ideas intellectually, yes, has importance, but it pales in comparison to the importance of actually putting it into practice and doing it. I mean, this is a self-study curriculum, and we learn by putting it into practice. When we extend forgiveness, when we extend the miracle of true forgiveness to our brother, when we extend love, our experience proves to us, it shows us that these ideas are true, that indeed we are one with God and with each other, which we all know. That's why we're interested in spirituality in the first place. All right. So I thank you, as always, for tuning in. And, well, just to follow up with one more subscription invitation, that is the subscription arrow in the corner of your screen. Go ahead and click that and join us. And if you know of people that would be interested in this, then certainly please direct them our way. They don't have to watch a single video or not. It's the invitation that counts. honestly. Our job is to continue to show up and extend love. So, this has been a very interesting discussion and a great question. So, thank you for asking that. These questions are always welcome, as are any of your questions. And I'm always more than willing to take a time out, or several days even, out of the text of A Course in Miracles, which of course is still going to be there when we get back. So, questions and comments are always more than welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon.